The night she arrived, the sky split open. Thunder rolled across the plains like the footsteps of angry gods, and the moon hid its face behind racing clouds. The villagers of Kumbara barred their doors, pulled their children close, and whispered old prayers into the smoke of their cooking fires. That was when the girl walked out of the rain. She did not run. She did not tremble. She stepped through the storm as if it recognized her. Her clothes clung to her thin frame, her basket hung heavy on her back, and her eyes, dark and deep as forgotten rivers, held no fear. When lightning flashed, her shadow stretched across the village gate like the shape of something tall and crowned. But the light vanished, and all they saw again was a soaked, silent girl. "Just a maid," someone muttered. The chief allowed her to stay. A stranger meant another pair of hands, another back to bend beneath the sun. They gave her a corner of the kitchen floor and a broom woven from palm leaves. They called her Sira. Before dawn, she swept the courtyards. By midday, she carried water from the well until her shoulders burned. By nightfall, she ground grain and washed pots while the village feasted and laughed without her. She never complained, but the village began to feel her. When Sira passed, the air cooled. When she sang low over the fire, the flames leaned toward her like they were listening. Once, when a child fell into the river, the water lifted him back to the shore before anyone could scream. The elders started watching her. The chief's daughter Nayala started mocking her. "Storm girl!" she sneered, flicking dust at Sira's feet. "Do you think thunder made you important?" Sira bowed her head. But that night, beneath the great baobab tree, she pressed her hand into the roots and whispered in a language older than kings. Far away, beyond mountains and memory, golden horns sounded in a hidden kingdom. Their lost heir had been found, and Kumbara had no idea it was feeding a queen with a wooden spoon. The festival of mass came with drums that shook the ground and laughter that spilled into the night. Kumbara dressed itself in color. Red cloth danced in the wind. Cowrie shells clicked like whispered secrets. Fires burned high, and the smell of roasted yams and spiced meat wrapped the village in hunger and joy. Everyone was allowed to wear a mask. Everyone except Sira. She stood at the edge of the celebration, holding a tray of food, watching painted faces swirl past her like living spirits. The dancers leaped and spun, calling on ancestors, animals, and gods. Even the shy became bold behind carved wood and woven cloths. Nayala wore a golden mask shaped like the sun. She found Sira near the fire. "Even the shadows get to pretend tonight," Nayala said, laughing. "But you stay exactly what you are." The villagers laughed with her. Sira lowered her eyes. Then the drums changed. They slowed. They deepened. They spoke in a rhythm the elders felt in their bones. A wind rose from nowhere, lifting dust, cloth, and sparks into the air. Sira swayed. Her tray fell from her hands. She stepped forward into the circle of dancers, into the firelight, into the staring silence of the village. The drums followed her feet. Her body moved like water, like flame, like something remembering itself. The wind wrapped around her. The fire bent low. The mass turned toward her as if drawn by a force older than celebration. A ripple of gold shimmered beneath her skin, gone in a blink but seen by the elders, who gasped and clutched one another's arms. Nayala stepped back. The dance ended as suddenly as it began. Sira stood alone in the circle, breathing hard, her hands glowing faintly like embers, before fading into brown skin and trembling fingers. No one spoke. That night, the elders met beneath the baobab tree. "This is not a servant," one whispered. "This is not a child of dust," said another. Beyond the village, deep in the hidden kingdom of Zawadi, the royal drums thundered in answer. The earth itself had felt its daughter move, and the throne that had waited in silence for many seasons began to sing her name in the roots of the world. The well had never spoken before. It had always been a quiet place where ropes creaked, buckets splashed, and gossip floated in the morning air. But the day the water vanished, the village gathered in fear. The well stood dry, its dark mouth empty and echoing. The elders argued. The villagers prayed. Nayala blamed Sira. "She brought this curse," she said. her voice sharp as broken glass. "Send her away, and the water will return." The chief hesitated. Before he could speak, Sira stepped forward. "I will go down," she said softly. They tied a rope around her waist. The villagers watched as she descended into shadow, her small figure swallowed by the earth. Below, the air was cool and wet. Though the well was dry, a woman waited in the darkness. Her hair flowed like riverweed. Her eyes shone like moonlight on water. When she spoke, her voice sounded like rain falling far away. "Daughter of Zawadi," the woman said, "why do you hide among dust and brooms?" Sira fell to her knees. "I am not ready," she whispered. "The world I left still burns behind me." The water spirit knelt before her. "You cannot sweep away who you are," she said. "The river always remembers its source." She touched Sira's forehead. Above ground, the rope jerked as water burst from the well, rushing upward like laughter set free. The villagers cried out as clear cold water spilled across the earth. Sira rose from the well, soaked and shining, her eyes holding a depth that made even the chief step back. Nayala said nothing. That night, Sira dreamed of fire and gold. She saw a palace wrapped in sunlight, heard drums calling her true name, felt a crown, heavy with memory, resting above her brow. When she woke, a small mark glowed faintly on her palm, shaped like the royal horn of Zawadi. Far away, the Eden Kingdom prepared its warriors. The lost princess was no longer lost. She was awakening, and the village that had fed her scraps was standing on the edge of a story that would be sung for generations. Nayala could not sleep. The way the villagers looked at Sira now burnt hotter than any fire. The whispers followed her through the marketplace, through the courtyards, through the chief's house. "She saved the well. She dances like the spirits. She glows in the dark." Nayala clenched her fists. She went to the old woman who lived beyond the thorn trees, the one who traded in smoke and secrets. "I want her gone," Nayala said. The woman smiled without warmth. "Then you must give the fire something to eat." That night, flames rose in the kitchen. The roof caught first, then the baskets, then the stored grain. The village rushed with water and cries, but the fire spread like a living thing. Sira ran toward it. She stepped into the smoke, into the heat, into the falling ash. The flames bent away from her, parting like tall grass before a queen. She reached the heart of the fire and pressed her palm to the burning ground. The flames died. The village fell silent. Nayala stared, her face pale as moonbone. The elders bowed. Sira did not look at them. She looked at Nayala. "I did not come to take," she said gently, "but I will not be destroyed." The wind rose, carrying the smell of rain and gold. That night, warriors in Zawadi mounted their horses of braided leather and steel. Their banners caught the stars. Their drums spoke war and homecoming. The road to Kumbara was no longer empty, and Sira felt it in her bones. They came at dawn. The sun had barely lifted its head when the ground began to tremble. Hooves thundered, drums roared, the air filled with the gleam of gold and red. The people of Kumbara ran to the gates. Warriors stood in shining armor woven with symbols of sun and river. Their banners caught the light like pieces of the sky itself. At their center rode a woman crowned in ivory and flame. She dismounted before Sira and knelt. "My queen," she said, "we have come to take you home." The village gasped. The chief fell to his knees. The elders pressed their foreheads to the ground. Nayala dropped her golden mask into the dust. Sira closed her eyes. She saw the palace again. The fire, the exile, the night she fled to save her people from a war that would have burned her kingdom to ash. "I will return," Sira said, "but not as I left." The warriors raised their spears in salute. That night, Kumbara feasted like never before, not for a servant, for a queen. Sira sat beside the chief, her hands steady, her eyes kind, her presence like quiet thunder. And when the moon rose, she stood beneath the baobab tree one last time. "This village fed me when I had nothing," she said, So it will never stand alone? The earth answered her. The roots glowed. The wind sang. The story of Kumbara was woven into the destiny of a kingdom. Zawadi rose from the mist like a dream remembered. His towers shone gold. His rivers ran clear as glass. His people lined the roads, singing Sira's true name as she walked between them. They crowned her beneath the open sky. The crown was heavy, not with gold, but with memory. Sira lifted her face to the sun. I rule for those who sweep and carry and bend beneath the world, she said. For the unseen, for the forgotten. The kingdom answered with thunderous joy, but Nyala's face haunted her dreams. Sira sent for her. When Nyala arrived, trembling and small, Sira did not raise her voice. You taught me what cruelty looks like, Sira said. So I will teach you what mercy is. She gave Nyala land, water, and a chance to build something that would outlive her pride. Nyala wept. The kingdom grew strong. The rivers sang. The story spread. Years passed like soft rain. Children in distant villages played at being Sira, the Maid Queen. They swept with sticks and wore crowns of leaves, laughing as they ruled imaginary kingdoms. Kumbara thrived. Zawadi shone, and Sira never forgot the dust on her feet. She returned to the village one final time, walking the same path she had walked through the storm. The baobab tree still stood. She pressed her palm to its roots and smiled. Thank you, she whispered. The wind carried her words into the world, and so the story lived. They thought she was just a maid, but the earth knew better. The sky remembered, and the throne was never fooled.